Hi guys, today I'm going to be teaching you how to use a mock-up. So I'm going to screen record and show you what it's like when I want to make a mock-up for maybe a t-shirt or something like that. I'm going to first look up whatever kind of mock-up I want. So if I want, say, let's do a t-shirt mock-up maybe, or a poster mock-up. I just made a poster. So let's do poster mock-up. And I make mine 4 by 5 inches for Etsy. So I'm going to try and find one that might fit those proportions. It might not be perfect, but I can kind of figure it out. And there's going to be tons of poster mock-ups that have already been made, so you don't even need to do the hard work of making them. There's websites like Behance that has a ton of free ones, Mr. Mockup. I like Unblast a lot, so we'll use Unblast for today's example. And you literally can look for anything. I mean, they've got categories upon categories for whatever you need. But we're gonna do poster mock-up. I have all my students use this to get their mock-ups made, so you can see what your design is gonna look like in real life. So say I wanna sell my work on Etsy, this is where I'll go, I'll get a poster mock-up. You just need to make sure that the mock-up is licensed for commercial work. So there's some that you have to pay for to be able to use for like selling work. So I always try and make sure that I check that they're free. So you scroll until you like them. I like this one that's on the wall. I feel like that could work for what I need. So then I'm just clicking download, and then it's going to download. It'll go to my downloads up here. So now it's going to my downloads. So I'm going to go to my Finder, go to downloads, and it'll be right there. I'm going to open the zip file, and then I'm going to open the file. Most of them will give you a JPEG and then a Photoshop file. The JPEG is what saves when you're exporting it, unless you save it under a different file name. And then you'll have the PSD file that you'll just open that. So for this mockup, it is giving us 3 different designs. So I'll have the contrast layer. These are just edits that the artist made to make it look more realistic, something that you don't have to do. And then you can also change the background if you wanted. So see how it's torn, kind of like making it see-through. Although I'm just realizing this is 2 vertical mock-ups, not 1 horizontal one. So I guess you have to look into that. So I'm going to open my design layer, and I see now that I have 2 posters and then part of what looks like a third. Oh yeah, down here. So there's 3 posters on here. So I'm clicking into design 1, and this is a smart layer. So the way that smart layers work is that it is opening a linked file. So that way, whenever I save on this, it will link it to my original mock-up poster. So whatever I add in here, so if I go to my Finder, and then I add one of my designs. So say I want to add, let's see. I want to add a print that I made recently. I made this, I'm going to do funny papers because I think this one will work nicely for it. So I'm saving that, I'm adding it to my design, and then I'm going to fit it. Shoot, my thing is too small. So I'm just going to compress it just for the sake of this video. Normally you'd want to actually make sure it fits before you do that, but that'll work for this example. So now I saved this. You just have to do file save, and then it links it to this mock-up. So we see that it's got it torn and fits it perfectly. So now that is design 1. So if I want to do the second poster, I just double click into this design 2. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna find my next poster, which I have this one. I have the same poster but in green, so that'll work perfect. Again, I'm gonna resize it. I'm gonna have to skew it a little bit, but that's okay for this sake. I mean, I always think mock-ups don't have to be exactly perfect because the actual design is proportional, so it's not as big of a deal because, you know, it's a poster, it's not real. So now I saved that and I have that on my second poster. Now I wanna do design 3, so I'm gonna double click into that, and I actually have this poster in a 3rd color. So I'm gonna add the 3rd color, resize that, skew it a little bit. I'm so sorry, I hate doing this. Now if I was actually doing this, I would fix my design to fit the mock-up, but now I'm gonna save that, and I'm gonna go to my original and see it's on there. So if I hide it, you can see where I added it. added the other one, and added the other one. And I'm wondering what, okay, so this is the design. So it looks like I can double click these as well and it will update as well. So that is one example of how you can do a mock-up. Most of the time they're just like the system using smart layers, but sometimes they'll like clipping mask things in. So just beware of that. It shouldn't be too crazy complicated, but yeah. That is mockups. I love using them. If you check out my Etsy page, I have them on my Etsy, so that way you can kind of see what my posters look like when they will be hung up on a wall. So if you check out my Etsy, that's on there. I make music posters and I sell them for fans of artists. Like, I love Role Model so much. I love his music. My friend got me into him last spring, and then ever since then I've been obsessed. And so yeah, this is kind of what it'll look like. You kind of get different backgrounds so you can see, and it's also in different colors too. So if I wanted to make a similar mock-up to the one I just made, I could do that since it has different colorways on there. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.